people, unfortunately, even good players, they don't use the bounce on the club correctly. So they get different depths of divot all the time. And you don't hear the noise that you want to hear in good bunkers. And that's the bounce working correctly against the sand. But what we have to do in bunkers is we have to use the sand correctly. Okay, so we have to move the bounce through the sand correctly. And we have to make the sand work correctly in the direction that we want to go. I see far too many bunker players. I'm going to show you a pretty bad effort now, unfortunately, and a lot of people have been taught to do this over the years, and it is not correct. Aim the club wide open, stand wide open, hands in position, then swing on the line of your feet. And then they say, well, it goes up, but it never goes forward. Well, all the energy is going there to pop the ball up, and there's none going forward at all. And plus the fact, if that did get out, what would happen to it? It would have horrible side spin on it, going to the right all the time, because the sand has moved on the ball sideways, so it has moved the ball like that. So as soon as it hits the green, it moves to the right. To be a good bunker player, you have to have control of the flight and the spin. You don't want it zipping back all the time, and neither do you want it side spinning. You want it one bounce, check, or one bounce, check and release. And you want it to really run like a putt on the green, so you start holding bunker shot and not just think about getting up and down in two, okay? So what we like to do is, and this is how I would always teach the bunker shot, is if we're going to the white flag, we've got the target line, and then we've got the ball position at right angles on the left heel, okay? That's my left heel. Now I don't open my stance because I don't want to pull across the ball. I want to work through the sand. Use the sand. I want to use the sand. Sand's your friend. Use it properly, okay? So I move my left foot open as much, 45, 50, 60, as much as I want. The more open I get it, the higher I'm going to slide it, okay? But what I do is I move my knee in the same direction as my toe, so that my knee moves this way, and I can move the bounce around through the sand this way. I don't move my knee this way because I can't get that bounce back to the ball to use it efficiently, but I can if I move it around this way. So that left heel, that foot is up. Now my feet toe line is slightly open, but my heel line is what? Square. My heel line is square. So I've got a slight parallel line to the left of the, just slightly, to the left of the target, okay? Just slightly. And what I do is I put a box in there to move that through that box to get it going forward. Okay? Now the last thing that I want is a line that is not square to my target line, but is square to my swing line. Okay, here. There. So that's where my shaft goes. And now, in a bunker, it is a specialist shot. So I like to have a specialist grip for bunker play. And the specialist grip is what I call the butterfly grip. So you put your hands like a butterfly there, strong left, weak right, club face slightly open, depends on how high or how far you want to go with it open. Okay. Now from there, what that allows me to do is it allows me to cock my wrist, but keep the loft and the bounce on the club. Most players, as they're going back, take the bounce and the loft off, and then all they do is dig. So they never hear that noise working properly. So from there, butterfly grip, which allows the wrist to work and moves the club and the bounce through through the sand. So again, I'm moving the club around and using the bounce. And from there, it really is just, again, like we said, it's not brute force, it's the momentum of the club moving around and hitting the ball up, and it flies. And you can see on there that the line I produced was going vertical in the air, going straight, it's not going sideways. But the depth of the divot on a very soft sand is correct because I've used the bounce properly. So I've moved the club around to use the bounce. If I get any drive, pull or shaft lean, I stop the bounce working, so I'm going to get too deep a divot. So moving it correctly. But as I said, most people stand here and they move the club this way, and you can see the ball gets moved to the side and not forward. And that's what most people do, and that's why they have to hit it so hard. They don't use the energy to get the ball going up and forward, they just get the energy going the ball up, and too much energy. So really, with the correct movement around and letting the wrist work properly, then what you'll see is, you'll see that line, and I'm not going to hit it very far this time, you'll see that line stay correct. So you see the line on its vertical? Now, unless you can get, and this is talking about good players, unless you can get a good player to have control of that line, is no point in teaching them any other shots, because they're not ready yet. They have to have control of that flight and spin to be able to understand how you're going to get, you know, the release shot, how you're going to get the check, one bounce check, how you're going to get the draw bunker shot, how you're going to get the ball moving sideways, how you're going to get the real long bunker shot with, you know, this, and 40-yard bunker shots are frightening for a lot of people because they haven't got enough energy going into the ball. So a 40-yard bunker shot, really, with this, you just leave it open, you move it around, and you play a normal shot with just more momentum and more energy. You move it around, and you get a 40-yard bunker shot quite easy. One bounce, check.
Same grip.
Same grip, yeah. Because it makes the wrist move correctly with the bounce staying on. So your club moves through this way. Any lean that way, stopping the energy going to the club head.